welcome back to the programme. I'm in Copenhagen for our Europe rendezvous in Denmark. This country has a very export-oriented economy. It's very open and it exports more than it imports. And it's feeling the international economic headwinds blowing in with these trade tariffs from the US and from China. We're going to be looking at those economic issues in this second part of the show, starting with the green transition, which is absolutely crucial to Denmark's economic competitiveness. Indeed, this country wants to generate 60% of its energy from wind power by 2030. We're going to start this part of the show by visiting perhaps the most emblematic wind farm just off the coast of Copenhagen.
We are having 20 wind turbines in front of Copenhagen, and they produce 90 million kilowatt hours per year. And it corresponds to the consumption of electricity in 30,000 households. And it's approximately 3 to 4% of the consumption of electricity in Copenhagen.
Welcome to Copenhagen.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Not in your usual suit and tie. And
No. I'm at home, so I'm more relaxed here.
yeah, let's go then.
Right, so in the year 2000, when this was built, it was the biggest wind farm in the world, wasn't it?
Yes, and today it's really small when you compare to what is being constructed. So yes, things are moving fast.
Why was this started in 2000? What was the real meaning of that?
I mean, you have to go back to late 80s, beginning of the 90s in Denmark. There was a political and strategic choice to say, okay, we need to produce our own energy, renewables, also to actually start up the whole industry around this.
What is Denmark's energy mix at the moment?
At the moment, it's just above the 88% of renewables in the electricity production, and 56% come from windmills.
So what happens as today, for example, when the wind isn't blowing much?
First of all, we have an energy mix. Of course, we are exporting and importing energy. I mean, it's an international market. And also we have farms here in the east of Denmark. There's farms in the western part of Denmark as well. And energy is being transported.
And just give me a quick outline. What is Denmark's goal then in terms of getting rid of carbon emissions completely?
I mean, we have a goal of being neutral in 45, and we have a long way to go because we have a huge consumption. If we speed up, we can get there. I have to say, I love when I see them. Yeah. I see European independence, I see green energy production.
Let's say a word about China as well, because these rare earth minerals that China is providing, they end up in wind turbines, don't they? Some elements. That's not strategic independence.
No, but we can always say what about and what about.
Yeah.
I see companies, also European companies, working strongly on the whole recycling of all the components there is in windmills. We have to move much more in that direction. We have great hope for Circular Economy Act coming from the Commission next year, and I hope also part of it is also when it comes to the energy production.
So you sound actually quite optimistic about this whole green transition, despite the pressures from some political parties in the European Parliament on that?
I wouldn't say positive. I'm actually quite worried at the moment, but I think it's strange when I see the political discussion right now and this whole push against the Green Deal and green transition, because I mean, green transition is basically about the European competitiveness. It's about strategic autonomy. It's about creating jobs, and then we're doing something for the planet at the same time, and we have to do all the things. This is actually a good image of why you actually can do both, because we made a choice in Denmark when it come to wind energy. We invested in it. It has created jobs, it creates economy, and is good for the planet.
Denmark has agreed the first carbon tax on agriculture in the world. What's your view of that?
I think it's so needed, also because Denmark is actually one of the most heavy agriculture areas in countries in the world. So we need a transition also of our food production. We need more space for nature. We need to fight for biodiversity, and this carbon tax can actually do all these things.
So what could the impact of this new carbon tax be? We've come to the west of Denmark to an intensive livestock farm to get some answers. Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
You too. This farm here is a family farm. I'm the 9th generation. The family have owned the farm since 1750.
Let's talk a bit about the carbon tax. So from 2030, farmers will have to pay 300 krona, or about 40 euros per tonne of methane on emission from livestock as part of this carbon tax. Are you actually going to have to pay that tax?
We have to going to pay this tax if we are not able to invest in green tools which can reduce the methane emission from my cows. I have to take responsibility from the environment as a farmer. We got 650 cows. Arla, my proud dairy, they're going to pick up around 20,000 kilos of milk every day. They're producing a lot of good cheese and yogurt and stuff like that. Milk products, they are typically going to sell around 30% of it in Denmark and around 70% to export. This here is one of the tools that we have. It's a feed additive that's going to let down the emission from the cows.
So just to explain, there's a carbon tax which the government is imposing on cows farting and burping, basically, which produces methane, and you want to reduce the tax that you have to pay by using these tools, this is one of those tools.
So that's why I have to invest in tools to let down the taxes that I have to pay.
Well, as Peter was saying earlier, about 70% of the dairy produced here is for export. We're going to look at other key areas of Denmark's export-oriented economy to see how they're doing with our reporter Luke Brown.
Danish design. Having conquered the world's tastes, it's also vulnerable to international trade shocks, such as Donald Trump's tariffs.
Cushion here is manufactured in Europe on our factory in Lithuania, so they have a 15% tariff. And the structure we make in Indonesia, so that is a 19% tariff plus an aluminium and steel tariff. If you have a sofa that has a price before of $6,000, it would typically be up to maybe $7,500 now.
The US remains a key market for premium furniture, despite the unfavorable trade deal.
We are 500 million people in Europe, and there are 340 million people in the US. How come we can negotiate such a lousy treaty? I mean, that doesn't make sense.
With more pigs than citizens, Denmark's agri-food sector employs 180,000 people. Danish Crown slaughters 10 million pigs each year and exports 40% outside the EU. It fears being hamstrung by regulations.
We have fierce global competition from Brazil, from US, from Ireland and so on, especially on the Far East market where we are quite big. And in Europe there is a tendency that we are increasing regulation, more demands on CO2, animal welfare. We are up against competitors with a limited requirement on regulation.
Denmark exports 3/4 of its farm production, so it's vulnerable to global trade wars. In September, China imposed tariffs on European pork in retaliation at EU levies on Chinese electric vehicles.
That's very important in order to have a well-functioning economy for all sectors, that they're able to export to China. The byproducts for China, we cannot export that to the European market. So we have sectors depending on exports also to third countries.
Another jewel in the economy, the pharmaceutical sector, which contributes 1.5% of GDP. Leo Pharma is over a century old and is typical of Denmark's vibrant life sciences sector. With 27% growth in North America this year, still it faces stiff global competition.
I think what keeps me awake at night at the moment is the pace at which competition outside of Europe, from the US and from China, is catching up. In Europe, we need to be laser focused to have absolutely zero complacency and making sure that we keep inventing, competing and winning against the US and China.
Denmark's drug makers aren't all in rosy health. Novo Nordisk, Europe's biggest company, announced 9,000 jobs cuts worldwide in September amid competition for its anti-obesity drug Ozempic. Romel Aminé was one of those laid off. He's confident the Danish economy will absorb the glut of job seekers.
Novo Nordisk is actually a very profitable company. 1 year ago, those discussions were not there at all. And then suddenly you need to let go 9,000 people. It is a real positive situation for a lot of companies that have had difficulties hiring people in the past. And now they can do that from some of the best trained people in the industry.
Despite the international headwinds, Denmark's outward-looking economy is in fine fettle. GDP growth is set for 2% in 2025, the envy of many EU countries.
We went to Fredericia, the largest container port in southern Denmark. It seems to be weathering the international trade tariffs quite well.
We have a friendly battle with Greece about being #1 in Europe. In Denmark, we get feeder ships from big European hubs in Rotterdam, Hamburg, and they have most of the paperwork when it comes to dealing with China and the US. So we're not that affected on that, and we're also a very digitalized country, so it's not something that I hear is a big problem in the ports.
Look at that. Tell me about why you were here to inaugurate this new port terminal.
Because I used to be a transportation spokesman in Denmark, so we did a lot of internal work on this before. Of course, we got funding from the EU as well, but it's also because this part of Denmark is a vital part because we are right in the center. And you have almost as much time to Copenhagen as to the northern part of Denmark as you have to Hamburg. For export, it's really important. As you can see, the containers around here are from all over Europe. Some countries are going the direction where they want to scale down production and scale down everything. We are in another direction. We are saying, well, we have to ramp up production because we have to be able to produce all we can ourselves for whole Europe. And we need to do that in the greenest possible way.
When you say about ramping up production, what are the challenges to that from these new tariffs that Europe and, of course, Denmark is facing, especially from China, but also from the United States now?
What happened in the United States with Donald Trump is probably the best thing that happened to Europe for many, many years, because now we really figured out how we need to stand together and be more aligned. So, of course, we have felt it, but we are also in that lucky position that people also need the things that we produce.
What about on China? There's obviously a lot of European leaders saying Europe has to de-risk from China and we have to stop being naive on China. Are they actually taking any action, do you think?
I think there is a huge opportunity to do something. If you look at a small package, which I know is a big thing in France to discuss as well, Temu, Shine, all these things coming in over the borders. I think it's 156,000 packages every day that comes in to Denmark alone. So if we can put a tax on those packages, it would be good. If we can say, okay, don't buy these things on Temu. Go to your local store and buy these things. It's much better.
Going back to Donald Trump for a second, he obviously has not forgotten about Greenland. He's still interested in it. What do you think he's most interested in about Greenland?
Well, first of all, for me, it's important to say that there shouldn't be taken any decisions on Greenland without the Greenlandic people. But I think, of course, rare earth materials, data centers, and of course the whole defense issue. And everybody's always talking about the southern border, but we need to protect the northern border as well. As protection of the northern border to Europe is crucial.
And let's talk about that issue of Greenland now a bit further here on Europe Rendezvous.
We need Greenland, very importantly, for international security. We have to have Greenland. Greenland's very important for the peace of the world. And I think Denmark understands it. I think the European Union understands it. And if they don't, we're going to have to explain it to them.
If you ask about what the EU are offering and what the others are offering, we will seek for those who offer respect first. and then we can talk afterwards.
Are people in Greenland still anxious?
Yes, I think there's a realization that the US interest is still there. There was a poll in the spring, and a small minority, I think it was 6 or 9%, were in favor of a connection to the US.
What is your relationship with the EU, and how would you like it to evolve?
Well, Greenland became a member in '73 alongside Denmark. In '79 we got home rule and the right to choose where we are members, and referendum was held, and Greenland left the European community in '85. Since then, we have had well-functioning relationship. There's a desire from Greenland to have a stronger tie to EU. We have strategic minerals that could be exploited. There's a need for investments, and that would be the key area to cooperate on.
What does the future hold for Greenland? What kind of status and what position for Greenland in world politics?
Well, the political goal, of course, is for Greenland to become independent, to have relations with different countries, to be part of the Western alliances.
Big powers are obviously very interested in your region, not just the US, but Russia as well. And yet you think it's viable for you to be an independent state with this small population of 56,000 people?
Yeah, that's the goal, and we'll see how that develops.
Well, that's all for this program from Denmark. You can see the whole show on our website, France24.com. And in our next Europe Rendezvous, I'll be in the Creuse, a region in central France known for its Valley of the Painters. I'll also be in Corsica, which the French call l'île de beauté, the beautiful island. I'll see you there.